It's Monday in the morning and we've been sticking up some shade. As you can see, it's a lot lower down than it was, but it does give us shade over the work area for the next 3 months that we'll be working under that area. And the nice part is that over on this side, these are all just tied along here, so we can just undo these, let the tarps drop when the wind or rain is going to happen. We had to make it so that we could quickly detach these on the one side and just let them go over there. To stretch these across only took us just a few minutes, so no big deal to detach them, drop them for the rain, cover the parts of the boat with the plastic, and put the shade stuff back up when the rain stops. So that's what we're doing now. And Michael, hi Michael, the rooter came over and welded us in some spots to attach these tarps to along the top of the container here. So that makes it easy. And even though it looks low, it's plenty high enough for me at 6'2" to walk underneath, and we get shade. And we also get shade out to the front of the boat now here at the bow. So we used to have to put that easy up, so that makes it actually a little bit better. So looks low, but it's plenty high enough for walking purposes. And that'll let us get this work done in the shade. Over there, it's a little bit in the sun right now, but we'll just wait until a little bit more in the afternoon this morning right now. And as soon as the afternoon sun heads across that way, that'll get in the shade and we can work on that in the afternoons. Okay, still Monday, and we've got shade up where we need it right now. And what we're doing now is we're epoxying the rest of the boards for our forebeam here. And so we've got them hooked up to our jig right here. So these 7 are got epoxy on there and they're going, and then we'll have to epoxy this end on, and that gives us our full length that we need to go over onto our forebeam over here. And we're sort of just doing this on and off. So now that we've got these in the sun right there, setting up a little quicker that way, we're going to go ahead and get to work on the hull. This side of the hull is all epoxy, so we're going to go on the outboard side now and start taking off the planks so that we can get to epoxying that side on next with what? Our West System epoxy. That's what.
We're removing the dry fitted strip planks from the hull form. We're going to take them over to the other side, take the peel ply off, fix any biscuits that we need to, and then we'll be returning them to this location,
where we will get back to doing the epoxy work. But first we got to get them off, and then we'll start at the top and work our way back down again. So we want to take them from the bottom off first so that they come back on top to bottom.
Ready? Put it over the top.
Unscrewing all of the various screws and taking each of these slats across the top and over to the work table only takes us around 20-30 minutes to do, so it's no big deal. But I sped it up so that you didn't have to wait 20 to 30 minutes for us to do this, but you can see that all the slats come off. We're in those weird parts right now in the middle, and they're just getting very small here, but then they get back to full length further up the hull. Now, in the next hull, when we do the starboard side, we have a better plan on this, and so this whole thing's going to take quite a bit less time since we learned a lot of lessons on how to do this doing this first hull. And so we figure it's going to take us up to a week less time to do the second hull. So that's what you get when you learn your lessons and do it the right way next.
One of our viewers asked a question about peel ply, and he was wondering if we were peeling off the actual laminate on one side. And so what I want to show you is that on one side of this foam, there is peel ply right on top. And so if you look at this, this just comes off in this top sheet, and it looks like this. However, when we flip it over to the other side, you can see that there's a coating that's on top of the fuel ply. And this is just to do with getting a nice surface while they're doing the vacuum bagging. But it's still part of what has to come off. So if you look over here, when I peel that top layer off, right there is still the peel ply, and this is the laminate still on the board, just like the other side. So yes, this does need to come off, and it's thicker than what the peel ply looks like on the other side. So besides getting the shade tent up, we've got a lot of the strips that we just took off on the outboard side of the port hull. Taking the peel ply off, so about half, and we'll get the other half tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to get to epoxying those back on and finishing up the epoxying of the entire port hull this week. So we'll see you tomorrow. We took all these slats off yesterday, but what I didn't mention is that once we had them off and got a chance to look at the inside, we found that we weren't wiping the inside well enough. We were wiping it, we were scraping it off, but it really needs to also be wiped off afterwards because there's a lot of drips inside. And so today we had to sand those off, particularly up at the nose of the boat, because that would be hard to get to later. So while we had the side off and it was easy to get to that, we fixed that up. But just to show you what I meant by drips, you can see that occasionally we didn't wipe it too well. You know, sometimes we did, sometimes we didn't. And so if you look down over here, you can see all those white spots. This is where we've sanded off all of those drips now, so that the insides of these are nice and flat at this point. So we got all the way up to the nose here done, and tomorrow we'll continue on and sand down the rest of that. But that's not all we did today. While I was doing the sanding off of all those drips on this board, Brian was working over here on our slats to go on tomorrow. So he peeled off a lot more of the peel ply down there, and he repaired a bunch of the biscuits here, which are gluing right now, so that's what's underneath of there. But he routed out these pieces, and these you can see are not fixed, and so we've got those to do some tomorrow. But at least these first 6 here are gluing right now, so tomorrow we can put those onto the other side and epoxy those on, and then we'll, in between putting those on while they're setting up, we'll work on those other biscuits and get those ones fixed up as well. So progress is back underway and we're doing fine. So we'll pick it up again tomorrow and let you know what's going on then. All right. Right now it's just Brian and I, but the Admiral's on her way and she will get to work with us soon. And we're just going to continue doing these epoxy strips. As soon as Marianne arrived, we put her to work cleaning up epoxy off the latest strip.
This time we're going to do a better job of scraping the excess epoxy off the underside so we don't have to sand it later.
All right, so today we have started on the outboard side of the port hull, and we are put the very first plank on the top, and now we're going to start epoxying all the rest of the planks down. So the first one was tricky. We want to make sure that the top edge was the perfect curve still as we went down, and that we didn't have any sag, so we put some clamps in there to make sure that it was level between the ribs and such here. Also, we made sure to clean the under edge here properly now so that there isn't any squeeze out on it. So we won't have to sand it like we've been doing on these ones as noted earlier.
We're removing more of the peel ply so that we can cut some new pieces. Okay, these are the biscuits we fixed yesterday, and we're going to go ahead and take a look how they came out.
So, there you go. Looks pretty good.
Nicely done. Okay, we've got some of these slats glued together now, and we're going to lay them down on the form.
Looks like they go in about right like that. So now we'll just have to start screwing them down and getting them to form fit here. This side of the curve is steeper and this is more shallow. It's kind of a teardrop shape. And so we're going to probably end up splitting some of these on with a saw back at the house so that we can make this tighter curve right here. But then they'll move out to the outside here, and these last one that comes to the outside is going to have to get cut as well. It comes to a fairly sharp point there. So this is just a quick test to make sure these are the right length and they can curve down, so I think it looks fine. So yesterday we didn't get as much done as we wanted to. We only got the first plank done up here. And the problem is we used the slow hardener, and that slow hardener just took too long for this to set up, and with the various clamps that we have set on here to hold certain spots on these as they're gluing, we couldn't take it off because it was still too tacky and it would just move. So we only worked a half day yesterday. So normally we take Thursday off, but here we are. And on Thursday, since we didn't work a full day yesterday. And so we've got the first one on today, and now we're using the fast hardener, so we'll be able to get a few more of these on. But while we're waiting for it to set up, even the fast hardener takes a little while. So while we're waiting for that to set up, we're doing work over here on the forebeam. And we've got them seamed together here, and this is the last seam for this set. So these will be ready to go on, and then there's some already done, which we put on here, and we just put some weights on them overnight on the ends to sort of start having these pre-bend a little bit so that they're starting to take that shape before we start putting the screws in. But we're going to take these back off right now and wrap all of these in plastic tape because we're getting close to the point where we're going to start epoxying these on, and obviously we don't want them sticking to the MDF, so we got to get some tape on here, so we're going to do that right now. I had a meeting with Schionning this morning, quite extensive meeting, and we went over a lot of things, including how we're going to be doing all of this. Taking two.
Three.
And let's set them on their side, let them keep that curve that we've gotten them. So, which one are you doing? Sorry, we're moving board, so is that the way the curve is? So, what we figured out was, when I say figured out, I mean what Schionning told us is, when we get to even the ones that are up here, not because of the curve being so much, but because of the amount of twist there is on the side ones. So both ones here and over on this side, and of course on the top piece as well, we're going to need to rip these in half and go with half the width. Otherwise, as we try to twist these boards are likely to break. So we're going to have to bring a table saw in and cut all these in half. So that's one thing we learned in the meeting this morning. But there are some other things as well. There's good news about getting this done before the cyclamen arrives, we can use West System epoxy, yay West System, on the inside part that we're going to use carbon fiber on the inside. And so we can work on the complete forebeam before that cyclamen arrives. However, we can't finish it all the way, but we can get the whole beam done and sanded and everything. But then we have to wrap the whole thing in carbon fiber after we're done making it, and that will be done with the laminating epoxy from cyclamen. But we can get this really far, so we've got a lot of work we can do on this forebeam, and you'll be seeing a lot of that coming up in the next few weeks. Now, our main concentration, of course, is getting our hull epoxied and finished, but we can probably get that done, I would say, next week. And so that hull will be done, and all we have left to do on it is fix the bow. And we came up with a new method of forming the very sharp edge of that bow that I went over with Schionning this morning. And I'll show you that in the future video coming up, but they agreed that that might be a great way to do it. So it's a little different than they suggested originally. They wanted us to sand down a piece of foam to put there, but we're going to actually epoxy in a piece and create it out of fiberglass. And so again, I'll show you how we're going to do that. And like I say, even Schionning is very interested to see how that method works, and they may adopt that in the future. So there's one more technique that I also came up with, and we'll show you later, on how to get the bulkhead portion of this that's in the center here in and have it match the top. And the method that has been used in the past didn't make sense to me, and the interesting part was I asked Robert at Schionning what he thought we should do for this, and he started describing exactly what I'd come up with to fix the problem, and so the two of us had the exact same idea. So that's what we're going to do, and again, I'll show you that technique that we came up with for matching the top of the cove on it in an upcoming video. All right, so I'm going to help Brian here. I'm lagging here talking to the camera, so I got to get to work. I just sped this part up because all we're doing is putting strips of packing tape across each of the individual ribs on the top where the epoxy will touch when we put the slats on. So we thought we'd just speed this up. We're ready to put on this next slat up here. And so as normal, we put it in on these clamps so that we can have the top surface here to put the epoxy onto on a nice bead so that it doesn't fall off, and gravity works for us there. And we already put these screws with washers in place so that they're ready to go, so that we can just move it up here and screw them down after we squeeze it in, and then we'll just do all the cleanup and everything. So here we go. And get to work. Remember that we decided to change how the planks went on. Instead of going from the bottom all the way to the top, we decided to go from the top to the bottom. Now, and you can see how we're able to put the epoxy onto the top of the plank, so gravity is keeping it there for us. And once we get it all set, we can then slide it up and attach it in. So this works, and gravity really works for us. And there we go, as we slide it up and squeeze out the epoxy. Think about it. If we went the other way around, we started from the bottom, we'd be working the planks up, and the gravity be working because we'd put a plank down, then we'd put a bead of epoxy on top of it, put the next plank on top of that, and move up. But as we got to the top few planks, and they're getting more horizontal on there instead of vertical, we could no longer be putting the epoxy on and having gravity help us. It would be on an edge where it would want to slide off. But by doing it from the top down, each plank, even those top ones, we get to put that bead on while it's down low, and so that it's not sliding off, and then just slide it up into place. So actually, going top down is better. There, we got it. So this next one is on. We are only working a half day today, so we decided to use a slow epoxy hardener on this one because it'll take 6-7 hours before this one sets up, but that's okay. It gave us time to work it a little bit more. The earlier one, because we wanted it to get done faster, we used a fast hardener. So we just picked the right hardener at the right moment. But again, it's a cool day today, so we need that. And yes, we're gonna fix this up now.
In a previous video, we mentioned that we chose to rip these strips back a little ways rather than cut them off and put separate pieces in here. And that just is going to keep a little bit more strength since there's not a actual cut point there, which means we have to put epoxy up though all the way to the edge. We just use a sharp blade to get it up there. Now at the front here, you can see that these still extend further than the bow is going to go. We'll be cutting these back further, so don't worry about that uneven portion up there. And there's a piece that goes on the top of that still.
I've got one little low spot over here, which we're going to have to shim up the inside portion of it because we want this to match up. So I'm going to bring this up first. And, get some plastic in here. And we'll stick a shim underneath, just the one edge though, so that I can bring this edge up to the right level, like that. But we want this to tilt down. So let's see if the screw will hold now. Sometimes, like in this case, we need to get a little bit more bite. So I need a longer screw. So in this case, I'm going to offset this hole so we can pull down this end of it more. Washer, please. Okay. And that does create a bit more of a gap there, but the bottom is pressed up against the other side, so we're just going to have to fill that with epoxy.
There's already epoxy at the bottom where these two slats touch, but that created a V at the top, so I'm just filling that in with epoxy.
So in this case here, this board is riding a little high right here. So just going to take and put a clamp here to try to even that out. In this case, this clamp isn't quite long enough. So I'll put a board in here. There we go. Now it's perfectly level. So it's nicely there. Now I'm just cleaning off underneath as well. Make sure we don't have any excess drips down there. Good morning, it's Friday, and we're here. Just put on this next flat on here. It's all set. So it's being only 64 degrees right now. It's going to take a while for this baby to set up, so we can't put another one on for a little while. So we have an idea. We're going mountain biking. So we'll be back in an hour or so to put the next slat on. But first we're going to go have some fun.
Today we're back over at Benelli Park, one of our favorite places. This is the route we rode today. And it was about, maybe 12 miles. It's not one of our longer rides. And the thing is that we ride e-bikes. And I'm on a Turbo Levo from Specialized, and Brian's on a high bike. And that allows us to have a lot of fun all the time, because even the climbs are fun because we can use the pedal assist to get us up the hills at a high speed. And of course on the downhills, like a lot of these shots you're seeing now, we don't have to pedal at all because it's all just gravity. So there's the lake, and these trails are varied and wonderful. They are mostly trail riding rather than any kind of serious downhills or jump runs and stuff. There's a little bit of those things, but mostly it's trail riding, and we prefer that anyway, so it works out well for us. And today I had a little bit of a problem because partway through the ride I burned out the electric motor, and it's the second time I've done this. And the reason is that I don't want to say I'm hard on the bike. Everybody's hard on mountain bikes. That's what they are. They are taken through rough terrain and ridden hard. And I've burned out this motor twice now. And the good news is that the Turbo Levo has a 4-year warranty on that motor. And so it's still under warranty, and I'll have it replaced at the shop this week. And hopefully that one will last long enough to get our boat finished, so I don't have to pay for another motor if I run out of the warranty. But I can tell you this, the e-bikes are a blast to ride, and I had a good time on my manual mountain bike for quite a few years, but once I got the e-bike here, I would say that the fun level is 2 to 3 times more fun, simply because every bit of the trail up or down is a blast to ride. So we really enjoy mountain biking as a sport. It's not the only one we do. You'll see some scuba diving, I'm sure, coming up in one of our videos as well. But today we got a little interlude here while we were waiting for that epoxy to dry. Got some mountain biking in. All right, well, we're back from mountain biking, and that was mostly fun. I did break my bike at the end.
Uh-oh. That's not a good sound.
But other than that, it's under warranty, so I'll drop it off to get it fixed. But we have the one we put on before we went, and then when we got back from riding, we've already put on another one. So it's drying right now, but we can't put another one on yet because it hasn't set up far enough to release the clamps. So what we're going to do now is 2 things. We already did a little repair over there of a board that we needed to fix, and over here right now we're working on some of those biscuit repairs that we have done on most of them, but we still have a few to go. So we're going to work on that right now and not waste time. So here we go. It's Saturday, and we're over here again putting more planks on, and as you could see in a moment, we've also been working on getting more peel ply off and getting the strips ready for the rest of this because we have to repair those biscuits. So we're over doing that right now while this one's setting up. This is my cousin Carl Ray, but I should mention to you that although he is cousin, he's actually more like a brother. We grew up together, and he often was living in our house. Carl's already helped on other days, but he's here helping today, and we're going to rope him into helping many other days as well. So little does he know, but we're going to keep him working.
Okay, so today we're pulling off the peel ply to get these ready for the next epoxy setup. It's not too bad, it comes off like butter. And there's a lot of it, and there's a lot of these strips. And that was my first one, or part of my first one, because we had some of it already done.
So Carl is married to Cece, and he has a couple of sons, and we're gonna rope at least one of them into coming and working on the boat as well. One of the, what he's talking about that is that every once in a while the peel ply pulls here, and that's a mistake that we made in drilling these before we pulled the peel ply, which we will not be doing on the starboard hull. But for right now, it's a simple fix. We just have to grab a blade and restart that, so no big deal. But anyway, I was talking about his sons, and one of them is a Marine now, and he's over in Japan, so I don't think I'm going to get him over here working, but one of his sons is here, so hopefully soon we'll have him here working on the boat as well.
Well, We're coming towards the end of the video, but we have a few more things we want to cover before we say goodbye.
Yes, we really want to thank one of our sponsors, West Systems Epoxy. Due to the use of their epoxy, we've been able to keep working since we've had the delay in getting our laminate epoxy in.
Yeah, and that's still going to be a little while before it gets here. And we want to talk a little bit about our patrons. We've started something new. We started having a Q&A session live with our patrons and discussion. And if you'd like to join in on those, then think about becoming one of our patrons. It's as little as $2 a month, and then you can enjoy that. Besides, we also released the video many days early for them this week, and we try to do that every week. So there's some benefits to becoming a patron, besides the fact that you're just helping us immensely to get this boat done. So thank you to our current patrons, and of course to all of you who watch our videos. We do appreciate you.
And don't forget to like and subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
All right, well, we'll see you next week.
Bye.